Altamont's Kevin Miller is a prime example of the epidemic occurring in high school baseball across the U.S. In recent years, more and more youth players are injuring their arms and requiring surgery. In light of the increasing number of injuries in youth baseball, medical professionals and many in baseball are calling for regulations to help avoid such injuries.
Well, I used to pitch before the surgery, and then been playing outfield. That's all I've really played.
But at age 13, while playing on two separate teams, Miller began to experience pain in his left elbow.
I just thought he needed to rest it. I thought, just normal throwing. He not really injured it, but, just from throwing too much, he might have bruised it or, got it sore. I was actually wanting him to ice Heat. She's the one that took the first initiative and said something ain't right.
That initiative led Kevin's mom, Jennifer, to a doctor's office, where her son underwent 2 MRIs on 2 separate occasions, the results from which were inconclusive.
They just told him to go home and rest it for about 3 weeks, no throwing. So we went back and they did another MRI on it. It didn't show anything. So they said just to rest it again, and that's about all. They said that it was just inflamed in there and there was nothing else to do.
Kevin did what the doctor ordered, including some therapy, but his arm never felt any better, leaving Jennifer with no other choice than to further explore their options.
So I found this Matthew Smith out of Washington University over in St. Louis. And his ratings online said that he was about the best one around that dealt with this kind of stuff. So we got an appointment with him and went over there and seen him. He went in and felt his arm in the right place there, and he basically could tell us, that he could tell that there's something wrong, but he wanted him to go in and get an ultrasound to confirm it.
And they had the ultrasound piece on his arm. He rolled his arm just a little bit, and then you could see it in the ultrasound, and that's when they found it.
It was a partially torn UCL, which would require surgery, despite Dr. Smith's reluctance to operate on a teenager as young as Kevin. After almost a year and a half after he first felt pain in his elbow, Miller's surgery was set for April 22nd, 2015.
It was nerve-wracking.
Very nerve-wracking.
Because he just didn't have the Tommy John surgery. He also had the ulnar nerve transplant surgery too.
The nerve had been damaged because he'd been throwing for so long with the UCL being tore that it damaged the nerve itself too. So they had to take it, cut it from the back side of his elbow, which it goes, and move it to the top side of it.
The successful procedure took almost an hour and a half, but Miller came out of the surgery in pain. The next step would be the grueling year-long rehab.
That took forever.
Did it really?
Yeah. Because it was
How long is forever?
a full year of recovery before you're back. But it was 6 months of no throwing, nothing.
At all?
Yeah, nothing. You can't throw a ball at all. And then the other 6 months is getting back. They had that interval throwing program. Do you know anything about that? It's just slowly getting back into it.
Okay.
Then I haven't quite yet. It's been over a year, but I haven't quite yet got back into the pitching. I don't know if I'm going to or not.
Miller and his parents are leery of a return to the mound, not only because the risk of re-injuring his arm, but also just the psychological toll of facing yet another surgery.
That I don't know. I might be afraid of hurting it again, because I don't want to go through that twice.
Was the rehab pretty difficult?
I mean, it was okay. I was nervous through a lot of it.
Why were you nervous?
I was afraid of hurting it again. I already knew how it felt. Why I feel it again. I know I talked to Coach, and this year he's gonna be working me into it, and then junior year getting me back on the mound.
Oh, okay.
So it's what we kind of talked about.
With hundreds of others going through what Kevin has, many states have enacted pitch count limits. Illinois is now considering doing the same. Dr. Preston Wolin, a leading advocate for the measures, says it's about lowering the risk of injury by limiting pitches per game and requiring so many days of rest.
I mean, if something like that comes in effect, I think it's going to have to stem back even younger than that. Because you got a lot of kids traveling around these traveling leagues. You know, you got 10 in you got younger than that. And I really think if they do it, you know, they're going to have to stem back even younger. The older they get, you know, 15, 16, 17, now they're getting to where they're coming together. That's my opinion, but my opinions are coming together. They're growing up. They're mostly developed. I think each person's body's going to have a different count.
Really, in my opinion, I think it's just how well a kid could handle it or not. I mean, well, just like Coach said, a kid could throw 80 pitches and another one could throw 100. It just depending on the kid. And usually your coach will be able to tell that.
Dr. Wallen agrees with this notion, but still sees a need to ensure that kids aren't throwing excessively, no matter who you are. Wallen will meet with the State Baseball Coaches Association in August to solicit support and opinions before submitting a proposal on which the IHSA could vote no earlier than September.